welcome to the Open Creative. My name's Jenna Johnson. I'm here today with Josh Murphy, CEO and founder of Sanders & J.
Hi everyone.
Today's podcast episode is called It's All in the Brief, and we're going to be discussing how important a brief is and how important it is for it to be detailed at the beginning of every single project that we do. So Josh, if you could talk to us first about the importance of a brief.
Yeah, I think having sat on both sides of the fence, so originally from brand management experience in my earlier career and then coming on to being an agency side, but about actually receiving the briefs from the client, you understand how important it is to get the brief right in the first place. The main thing to say is the more detail goes in at the upfront part of it, the better the outcome is for everyone from the client's perspective, also for ours, because we've actually got something to tangibly work with and make sure we deliver back exactly what the client's looking for. But in the brief stage, you just need to know exactly what those goals, ambitions, objectives, everything are in order to be able to then deliver back against it.
Yeah, so if you could, what do you do in the discovery stage of a project to be able to get that brief across? Because not everybody comes to us with the same kind of visions, do they? It can sometimes be a bit loose, and sometimes it's kind of
I think from our stage, I think we've kind of evolved as well as an agency from when it was previously before, and we were a much smaller team. As we've evolved, we've kind of put a bit more structure into the process around taking that brief on, so that we don't get to a stage and, you know, Nello from a videography side of it, or if it's Steve from design, or Louise in terms of, like, say, when the building stage of the site. It's very, very, it doesn't get to them without the detail. Because if they haven't got that background and understanding of the client, what they're trying to achieve, it just doesn't get anywhere. And even from my side, and I was a massive fault of it, I think, like, looking back at my early stages of career, whereabouts I was never the detail person around it. I was much more about the creative, the visual, the message, everything goes with it. And I could verbally talk that out, literally, but a lot of the time I was struggle to get it down pen to pad, basically, and just get that detail out. But what you really need to do, and I think we work differently with different clients. I think that sometimes, like I say, you kind of, when you brief comes into yourself normally at the start of the journey, I mean, you'd know, like I say, that sometimes people just want to talk it out, and verbally they've got everything in their head and they just want to get it down on paper. And we can help them with that. Or, like I say, they come to us with an incredible, like, documentation of
done.
This is what it is, this is what we're trying to achieve, can you go out and do it for us? And no matter what stage of that you are with the project, if you're stuck and need some help with it, then obviously we can do, and that helps, and we can detail out and get those details out. Or if you come to us with a perfectly beautiful brief, which is the best scenario ever, is when someone comes to us,
it's the holy grail.
Just with an outline of every objective, what they're trying to achieve. For us, it just gives us the parameters, what's there. And I think that one of the things you want to go into, like I said, is scope creep off from what that is. So when you look at the brief, what's in, what's out, and what we're going to try and achieve within it. And then, so, I mean, what's your kind of...
Well, I think something that's important that we do, you know, particularly with website projects, is we map out the whole thing from beginning to end before we start it. So that means that everybody kind of gets a good idea of what each stage involves and what's going to be needed as a part of that. And that really helps to inform the brief at the beginning. And then the other thing that I wanted to kind of talk about is where some people may not be sure at the beginning. If that brief isn't set in stone, and kind of we all agree, all are on board with it, and all kind of understand where we're going with it. If those goalposts are moved sort of way down the line, it becomes a new project. You know, what might seem like a small change at the end there, it sometimes can completely change the direction of the whole thing. So it's really
the smallest functionality, like you said, but that has a big impact on what's there. And if that wasn't outlined, like say at the beginning part, it may have changed the way that you design, develop, and implement everything else that's with it. So, and like from our point of view, like I said, we want to be as streamlined, as sleek as possible, deliver projects on time and in full. And like you say, that part there. So, and there's different ways, like I say, that people go about it. I think it's writing it down in terms of how we receive it in loads of different ways. Like I said, that's, I think, the important part, that everyone's different in the way that they approach. I mean, I've said every single client that we speak to, and they're like, "Is this normal?" And I'm like, "Nothing's really normal," because people come to us with different
Which
stages.
Is okay. Yeah,
exactly.
Sometimes it'll be bullet points in an email. Sometimes it'll be a sit round the table and kind of thrash it all out and figure it out between us all. And that's okay. They're all fine. All ways of delivery are fine, as long as we kind of get to the same point at the end of it where we all understand it. We all know what the vision is, and then everybody's on board. You know, the whole team can sort of read that the whole way throughout. So yeah.
I think from our side, the biggest thing that we've learned as an agency and what we're here is the discovery phase for us, whether that is, like say, taking the brief and taking the details important, or if you haven't got those details and you can't tell us what your business is about or what the services are or what the unique selling points are, that's all the insight. When we go back to then like a branding session in front of the, to really kind of get that scope of the project outlined within it and understand more about your business, to be able to deliver back what you want from it. So there's different levels of engagement or as we can. Like I say, some people come to us with all of the ideas and they just want it to be executed and look amazing. But other people really want to do that soul searching first to then enable them to do that. And some of it is needed. Like that's just the fact of it. If you haven't got all the details and you're struggling to get down what it is that makes you different and how, what's it so good about your business and organisation, then you kind of do need to do a bit of soul searching.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of, as our agency is kind of growing and developing, I do feel like that's becoming our kind of buzzword is discovery. It's sort of like that's what is at the core of everything we do, is understanding the business, understanding the people in that business, understanding, the ideas behind it and really kind of digging deep and getting our heads into that business so that then we can share that vision and we can then take it forward to the next step. And that's just sort of, that's our thing now.
I always see it as like storytelling. Like the main thing about a brand and a business is that everyone's got a story. It started from somewhere. There's different things that make every business different. And it's getting us to understand that story so that we can then tell it basically in a creative and dynamic way, whether that's through, let's say, print, website or videography, that style and the business comes out from that. Like I say, we work across multiple industries where we get really good insight from different things and you get a feel for the business and what it's about. And you really kind of do. Yeah,
and that's where we can, the creatives in the team can then start bringing their ideas to the table as well, because they understand the business, they understand what ideas are going to work, rather than just kind of, copying down, okay, you want me to make a green logo, whatever it is, and then just kind of, bosh, bash, bosh, and there it is. It's kind of understanding it. Okay, well, what meaning could be behind that? How do we want it to look? How do we want it to come across and be perceived by other people? And
absolutely,
it's all of those things sort of get into it. So it's kind of getting our heads into that brief as much as the client's heads, it's kind of sharing that vision together.
Definitely. So I think some of the key outtakes for me would be get down as much information as you can, and until you get any kind of, if there's white space and there's something important, there's question marks, then you have to kind of fill those in later down the line, and we can help you with those, or go and ask other people to get that kind of help.
And just on that, I think a good place to start with that is and often something that's reactive from clients if they don't really know where to start with putting a brief together, is saying, okay, well, what do you like? What do you like out there? Have a look at other people's websites, to pick a bit. It doesn't have to be in your sector. It doesn't have to be anything to do with your business. But if you like the look of something, or you like the feel of something, or the functionality of something, jot it down, or
just
send us a link,
the puzzle
whatever it is, and then we can start piecing it together on our end. That's our kind of our place in it. But
exactly,
it's kind of looking out there and seeing what you like and dislike about what other people are doing.
Definitely, I think it definitely helps. And I think then, like I say, once you've done that phase, like I say, it'd be good. And one of the biggest things I see is then people actually making sure that all the stakeholders that are relevant are behind the brief. Because sometimes, like I say, a brief can come in from one angle, but someone else has got another thought and it's a harbouring thing on a different topic or something they wanted to see involved in it. And you've got to go back to them to go and say, so making sure that brief is now from that point. Otherwise, like I say, you can find there's stumbling blocks later. And then the third one would be, like I say, is just be open around like what it is that you're trying to achieve, with really clear goals or measurable things that you're trying to achieve, and being realistic with it. And then, like I say, just having that open conversation and working with, but like I say, we're open to conversations and working with people just in a really nice collaborative way, in a sense that we become a partnership, understanding your business. Which allows us to create amazing visuals and creatives, and then obviously we can then nurture that ongoing and work alongside afterwards.
Definitely, it's been really nice to talk today. So hopefully that's been helpful for people, particularly if you're looking at starting a project. It gives you somewhere to start and some food for thought with that. So tune in next time.